Welcome to our Trump Briefing Show. Today, we're diving into some exciting and controversial news. First up, green energy supporters are pushing for faster approval processes for energy projects. Think fossil fuels, minerals, geothermal, and hydropower. The U.S. Interior Department has cut review times from 2 years to just 14 to 28 days. While this could boost economic growth, critics worry about environmental protections taking a hit. Next, a federal judge in California has put a halt to Trump's attempt to deny federal funds to sanctuary cities. The judge ruled that targeting these cities was unconstitutional, reaffirming a decision from 2017. This means those cities can continue receiving federal support, at least for now. Finally, as Trump marks his first 100 days in office, he's making headlines with rallies, new orders, and legal battles. From plans to crack down on wokeness in colleges to threats against Canada's auto industry, the political scene is buzzing. Plus, he's eyeing a crackdown on foreign money in elections and facing economic worries at home. Please continue to watch for more details. The Toronto Star reports on the Trump administration's recent efforts to expedite the permitting process for energy projects, but with a focus that diverges sharply from the environmentalist agenda. While supporters of green energy have long argued that sluggish federal approval processes hinder the transition to cleaner sources like solar and wind, the Interior Department's new measures primarily target fossil fuels and critical minerals, including oil, natural gas, uranium, and coal. These streamlined procedures, which cut review times from years to mere weeks, are presented as essential for bolstering the U.S. economy, military readiness, and global competitiveness, particularly in critical mineral processing, where China currently dominates. Critics, including the Sierra Club and the Center for Biological Diversity, warn that these rapid reviews could undermine environmental protections and public input, risking pollution and ecological harm, especially as projects like offshore wind farms face construction halts amid concerns over rushed approvals. The Associated Press highlights the legal pushback against Trump's policies, notably a California federal judge's injunction preventing the administration from withholding federal funds from sanctuary cities that limit immigration cooperation. This ruling underscores the ongoing constitutional debate over federal authority and local autonomy, with San Francisco and other municipalities challenging the president's executive orders as unconstitutional. Simultaneously, the administration's aggressive stance on social issues continues to generate controversy, exemplified by the Supreme Court's consideration of a transgender military ban and the cancellation of hundreds of university research grants tied to diversity and misinformation studies. These moves reflect a broader pattern of the Trump administration's efforts to reshape federal policies on immigration, education, and military service, often facing resistance from courts and advocacy groups. The Toronto Star also reports on Trump's broader political maneuvers, including a planned rally in Michigan to celebrate his first 100 days in office and his recent executive orders targeting higher education and school equity efforts. Meanwhile, international relations and economic policies remain in flux, with South African President Cyril Ramaphosa planning to meet Trump to discuss peace in Ukraine and U.S.-South Africa relations, and China denying active negotiations with the U.S. over tariffs despite Trump's claims of progress. The global economic outlook appears strained as the IMF warns of trade tensions threatening growth, and domestic concerns about tariffs' impact on prices and recession fears grow among Americans. Throughout these developments, Trump's approach continues to mix policy initiatives with contentious legal battles and rhetorical appeals, shaping a turbulent political landscape. The Toronto Star vividly captures the fierce resistance of UNIFER President Lana Payne against President Trump's provocative threats to escalate auto tariffs on Canada. Payne's declaration underscores Canada's proud automotive heritage, emphasizing that Canadian workers and industries have thrived for over a century and will not be sacrificed to protect U.S. interests. Trump's recent remarks about potentially raising tariffs to 25% on Canadian-made vehicles, coupled with his broader trade war tactics, including tariffs on steel, aluminum, and fentanyl, ignite fears of economic upheaval. The deeply intertwined nature of the North American auto industry, with parts crossing borders multiple times, makes the threat particularly alarming, as experts warn of billions in increased costs for American automakers and significant disruption to the Canadian economy, which has long been a vital partner in this industry. Yahoo US details the Trump administration's controversial move to restrict diversity, equity, and inclusion (DEI) initiatives in American public schools, sparking a legal battle that highlights the tension between federal authority and educational freedom. A federal judge's temporary injunction against the administration's guidance reflects concerns from teachers and civil rights advocates who argue that the directive, which demands schools cease practices based on race, infringes on First Amendment rights and academic independence. The guidance, which was introduced without the force of law but threatened to withhold federal funding, is criticized for its vagueness and potential to suppress meaningful discussions about race and inequality. Lawsuits from prominent educational organizations challenge the memo's legality, emphasizing fears that it could undermine efforts to promote diversity and limit the scope of educational programs designed to foster inclusivity. Milwaukee's Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel tells a compelling story of environmental justice and political interference through the halted planting of trees in the Harambee neighborhood. Solomon Community Temple, a church dedicated to ecological stewardship, had received $28,000 from Biden's Inflation Reduction Act to plant native trees that would combat urban heat, improve air quality, and promote mental health in a historically underserved community. However, the project was frozen by the Trump administration's review of climate funds, part of a broader effort to roll back Biden's Justice 40 initiative and climate investments. This political interference not only delays vital environmental benefits but also highlights ongoing disparities, as lower-income and minority neighborhoods like Harambee often lack sufficient green space. Advocates, including faith-based groups, are now fighting to secure the funds, emphasizing that such projects are crucial for community health and resilience amid climate change. The Independent reports that President Donald Trump is gearing up to target the Democratic fundraising platform ActBlue, a move seen as part of his broader effort to crack down on foreign influence in U.S. elections. The White House is reportedly preparing a presidential memorandum, with Attorney General Pam Bondi involved, that could be signed soon to scrutinize ActBlue's operations. The organization, which has processed over $400 million for Democratic candidates this year, faces accusations from Republicans and MAGA figures, including Elon Musk, who falsely blamed it for orchestrating protests against Tesla. Critics like Charlie Kirk and Representative Darrell Issa have called for investigations into alleged foreign contributions and violations of campaign finance laws, though ActBlue maintains its compliance with all legal standards and has taken steps to prevent foreign interference. The political climate is tense, with accusations flying and calls for scrutiny, as the organization prepares for potential government action amid ongoing partisan battles over election integrity and foreign influence. The Independent highlights the economic turbulence impacting the U.S. airline industry, with major carriers like American, Southwest, and Delta Airlines lowering their profit forecasts and reducing flight schedules due to declining demand. American Airlines recently withdrew its 2025 financial guidance, citing a drop in leisure travel and economic uncertainty, while Southwest announced plans to trim its flights for the second half of the year. The broader economic outlook appears grim, with rising fears of recession fueled by President Trump's tariffs and trade tensions, especially with China. Consumer confidence has plummeted, and economic indicators such as home sales and sentiment surveys reflect a slowdown, although layoffs remain low. Airlines are cautiously adjusting their strategies, with some planning to cut capacity and delay expansion plans, illustrating how economic anxieties are rippling through sectors reliant on discretionary spending, like travel and tourism. According to a Harvard Youth poll, only 15% of young Americans believe the country is on the right track under President Trump's leadership, revealing widespread disillusionment among the younger generation. The poll paints a bleak picture. Many young people are struggling financially, with over 40% barely getting by, and feelings of social disconnection are prevalent, with fewer than half feeling a sense of community. Trust in government is alarmingly low, with just 19% expressing confidence that it will do the right thing most or all of the time. The survey also shows shifting life priorities, where fewer young people see having children as essential, and many report feelings of depression, especially those who came of age during the pandemic. These findings underscore a generation grappling with economic hardship, social isolation, and skepticism toward leadership, highlighting a stark generational divide and deep concerns about the nation's future. CNN highlights how Trump's recent peace proposal for Ukraine appears overly generous to Russia, potentially even insufficient for Putin's ambitions. Trump's strategy of imposing deadlines and threatening to walk away from negotiations reveals a misunderstanding of the geopolitical landscape, as Russia is deliberately stalling and dragging its feet, with Putin seemingly confident that prolonged conflict will work in his favor. Despite Trump's pressure on Putin, including a brief scolding after Russian missile strikes on Kyiv, Moscow remains unyielding, publicly rebuffing U.S. and Ukrainian ceasefire offers and engaging in superficial truces that are repeatedly violated. The core issue lies in Trump's unclear expectations for Ukraine, with hints that he might ask Kyiv to freeze frontlines or recognize Crimea as Russian, concessions that hold limited utility and do not address the broader conflict or Russia's red lines. Meanwhile, Putin's apparent belief that time is on his side, combined with Moscow's strategic red lines, opposing foreign troops on Ukrainian soil, continued sanctions, and aid restrictions, suggest that Russia prefers a prolonged, fragmented peace process that favors its geopolitical aims. Moscow's tactics, stalling negotiations, extracting minor concessions, and prolonging the conflict, are designed to weaken Ukraine and NATO, while the US's focus on quick deals risks enabling Russia's long-term strategic gains, creating a dangerous stalemate that could reshape the balance of power on the continent. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.